As 2017 draws to a close, I've been reflecting on what's been a great year and what's coming forward in 2018, both in my life, my career, but also with Spitfire. And I've been pondering whether there's a couple of releases coming up that may just free me from the clutches of some of my kind of standard sounds. These are the sounds that you would have to take from my clenched, grasping, dead, withering hand, to quote the bastard Charlton Heston. I don't know if you're the same, so I'm going to go back to the cave. I do actually have quite a lot of instruments that you would have to prise from my cold, dead hands, so I'll try and get through them as quickly as possible. I guess the most endearing one is my Peel guitar, which, I don't know, I used it on Chasing Liberty, which was my first studio picture. Mandy Moore was in it. Ben Valfish did the orchestration and conducted. I just haven't found one that betters it. It has a kind of an intrinsically British sound that really appeals to me. I think it was a Fender Tele recorded through a Fender 15-watt Champ Tweed. It was vintage. Those are the best, I think, recording amps personally. But it just has this lovely kind of quality to it that I can't better. It kind of handles distortion really well and all of that kind of stuff. And what I do is I track and stack it and put it an octave apart, put some delays on, pan it slightly to get a kind of Johnny Greenwood sound. So kind of cool. Available as part of the free samples thing. I don't know if you know about this. Spitfire Labs, spitfireaudio.com/free samples. Free in return for very, very small contributions to charitable organisations. Very simple to do. The thing that kicked off the whole Spitfire Odyssey was Charango, also available on Labs, which is a small Andean instrument that I got my brother to play badly. And it was just like one of those enormous lighthouse-sized light bulb moments for me that has led to so many exciting adventures. So here's the Charango. It also sounds really good high up, which is rare for a sample. It sounds great kind of in a Latin sense, in a Middle Eastern sense, works really. Very, very lightly sampled, no round robins and stuff. It just has so much character. It's recorded interestingly, seems to work. Also, I track and stack that. So all I do is the first one has the original. Again, this is available on Contact on our free samples thing. So track and stack, I transpose up 3 and tune down 3. It just basically means we're accessing different samples but producing the same pitches. And again, pan them very slightly. Really cool up here. Again, I've yet to find one that I prefer. It's just one of those magic things. You'll probably find that a lot of these sounds are old. I guess it takes time to establish sounds as part of your treasure trove of stuff that you could never leave home without. This is a relatively recent one, which is our chamber strings. If something happened, some kind of flautando virus, which would mean this patch was no longer available to me, I have to say I would probably have to give up writing music. So let's have a listen to this. I use this every day, all day, and it still blows my mind. Naturally, I'll add kind of more vibrato-y consordinos and that kind of stuff on top to give it more of a dynamic, but you've still got a bit of dynamic control. It gives me so much inspiration, and that, as we know, is so valuable. Another legacy sound is if we listen to the Albion One Words shorts, so let's just pull those up. I'll do that, so don't have to keep pulling them up. If you have a listen to these. Great, Little bit bitey for me, even at the lower levels. Now, the legacy woodwinds, and I made sure that these were included in the new Albion One, they have a floppy character that really get on people's nerves. I just love them. There's something very special about them. Great for system stuff. Has a lovely John Adams kind of characteristic about it. And again, this is part of the magic of sampling, is something just happened there, and I can't really analyse what it is, but we didn't want to get rid of that because that would be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I've got a pad that's my favourite, and this also is from the original Albion, but it is included in Albion One, and it's called the Celestion. Beautiful, pretty, but not quite right either. Something slightly dark about it. Now, this I just have to show you was actually created from another of my treasure chest of sounds. A lot of people, when they think of our orchestral percussion, think that it is cymbals, bass drums, timpani, but also it's just got the most fabulous mallet instruments. Also, an amazing Celeste. Absolutely brilliant. So that, I mean, the whole of that library is a real, try and take that away from me, but particularly the mallets in that are very, very special. So that's what that pad was made of. Going back a little bit as well, one of our oldest libraries, the solo strings. What I love about this, I'm not really that into the normal string patches. They're a bit vibrato-y for me, but the cello harmonics, worth the price of entry alone. I mean, it don't really sound like a cello, certainly not the way I'm playing it, almost like an organ, but it's just... I'm not being histrionic when I say worth the price of entry alone. I mean, I think if something inspires you, then it's kind of, you can't put a price on it, really. I also really like the pizzicato, particularly the cello and the violin, which I combine together a lot. Especially when you play them not like a violin band would play them. You can actually still hear the hall in there. So what I try and do is take away its dignity by sticking it through Logic's silly little amp simulator, stick a bit of spring reverb on, and let's have a listen to that. Going back a little way still, Albion 2 log ear. I'm a massive fan of euphoniums, and I don't know why they're not used in scores more. So we put together this euphonium and horn choir. Now, euphoniums, I don't know whether they're really difficult to play or something. They have a kind of tuning difficulties. They're slightly imprecise and less regal than the French horn. So coupled with the two, you get this chocolatey sound, which I use all the time. Just a little bit fruity on the old tuning there, and I like that because it gives us sort of a sense of when someone's about to cry, their voice kind of breaks up a bit, and that's what the euphoniums do. They also have this amazing legato patch, which is the same choir, and it kind of has a plaintive, I don't know, it reminds me of a Spielberg film for some reason. Distant and plaintive. My favourite legato, and basically if ever I want to write a woodwind solo passage, it's always going to be for a bassoon, because I love that right as spring, high up bassoon use, but also I think it's one of Andy's best legatos, absolutely stunning. Try taking that one off me. It'll get nasty. Next up, the Albion 2 loops. I mean, I hear our stuff on everything, And I never hear these on anything, so they are my secret weapon. And they get me out of jail so often for adverts, for doing quirky kind of just something chugging away in the background. These loops are kind of trying to emulate the rhythm loops you find on mellotrons. I don't know, it's that point when the director's asking you to do something quirky and you're feeling really moody. But when it comes to loops, these are just awesome. They're in Iceni, and they're by a musical duo called The Flight, one half of which happens to be my brother Joe. They are white hot at the moment. They did Alien Isolation, they did Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm sorry, I'm not a gamer. So as I say, white hot. And they just design these amazing, like, they're loops that are really simple but so vibey. My brother's an awesome bass player, so a lot of it's bass related. I use that on everything. So if you have Albion Iceni and haven't checked those out, I do recommend it. Okay, coming off the Spitfire tip, Distorted Reality has a loop that I just, again, I don't use Distorted Reality anymore because the whole world used it on everything. And in fact, this loop is very recognisable. I don't know if that's familiar to you, Drew Masters, if you're watching, but I don't use it in its raw sense. What I do is I stick it as a carrier on a vocoder. So basically that's going out of bus 2, and then we've got this, which is side chaining to bus 2, and then if I hit play, and then I put just a bit of special sauce on it. Let's have a listen to that. I did some programming for Harry Gregson Williams on Spy Game, and I used a lot of that. Now, if I'm just going to set up something on the Flautando, something very simple, let's have a listen. And basically, something I have very expensive synths and stuff that should do this, but I can't find a better sine wave than the thing that you get when you load up the EXS. Oh, matron. Another thing I'm, again, just really attached to, I made a guitar quartet set of samples, and I just have been using them on loads of stuff, but they were first used on a film called Black Death. Very good film, that. It's just 4 guys. There's the Tom Howe, I believe, the amazing composer now based in America, is one of the guitarists. In fact, let me just slap that down. You combine them with Cole Legno. Absolutely love those. Skylar Kanga's Harp has been around for a while, still unbeatable. A little bit too posh sounding for me. So what I do is my mini harp, which is again available on Labs, quite a primitive sounding thing. Just going to take the reverb time down. Yes, I did just do a Procrasti drop there. I basically combined Skylar Kanga with my mini harp, and for some reason I find it easier to mix. It has a little bit more presence and slightly less regality about it. Now, coming up to my all-time favourites. The reason I own Native Instruments Complete is for Contact and for one other sound. If I ever hear a composer using this, I just respect them so much more because it is one of the best pads of all time. I'm going to get to the best pad of all time in a moment. So Steam Ghost. drama. It's so atmospheric and can be used from mystery and sci-fi to, I used it a lot on Severance. Now, the best pad, however, for me, is actually, believe it or not, my Wurlitzer. Now, I have to do a little bit of rooting around in my lovely new patch bay into the Axe Effects patch 138 black hole, just preset hole, just put that straight up there. And then, you know, I've been through, we have Hans' amazing piano, and I've got my real pianos, and Olafur did an amazing felt piano, but I'm still very attached to my, it's now called the Spitfire Soft Piano, again, available on Laboratories, and it's actually me playing a Yamaha with the kind of Celeste pedal engaged, and... something about it that just works for drama. You can't get much top end out of it, but it compresses really well. In fact, you can hear my fingernail there on that D, and it's really moving when I'm watching like a sad film or something, and suddenly I'll hear my fingernail, and that's one of the great joys of this Spitfire adventure. The one thing that's got me out of jail more than any other, and it's inspired us recording kitchenware, and then recording kitchenware again, and then doing glass and steel, and that's all really cool. But I've never got the magic of this mixing bowl, and it's just a stainless steel small mixing bowl. Yes, the one sound I don't think I'll ever be able to get rid of is that mixing bowl. We've actually resampled it, and we've never got the vibe. I think originally it was my brother huddled under a duvet, tapping it so horrifically quietly. So listen, have a very, very happy Hogmanay from the centre of New Year, Edinburgh, and I'll see you in the next one. Remember to subscribe if you want freebies, and also, if you like what I do, hit like. There's also a bit.ly link below for the mixing bowl if you want to give it a go. Use it on whatever you like, distribute amongst your friends and peers. Now, I'm really interested to know, what are your sounds that you just can't get rid of, you can't let go of? Do you have any Omnisphere skeletons in your closet or distorted realities? I'd be really interested to find out what your killer sounds are.